let's take a moment and talk about what the TDA test looks like almost every Friday in Mr. Surface's class until we have PSSAs. Students will already or usually have a copy of a packet that goes with the story from the unit. Just so happens that we are on rites of passage, and what are some milestones on the path to growing up is the essential question that guides all the stories in this unit, ideas and themes, okay? Then, sometimes we'll do the test that goes along with what we're reading, and sometimes we won't. But it's there. And then there's the answer key that I would use later for my thing. Then I'll usually include a piece of text that I think connects with the unit and also interests the students, either interests them hobby-wise or connects with a theme that they see or idea or topic that they're interested in or author that they're interested in. In this case, this is Angie Thomas. She wrote The Hate You Give, and her sequel to it, even though it's not the same characters, it's set in the same place, and there's a third coming, and they're gonna make a movie version of this too on the come up. There's a little summary and then an excerpt from the novel. Kind of a spicy novel, so I took out some of the swears. And then they get a half sheet, right? The student will get a half sheet and they'll have the 2A options, which means they get out of 50 out of 50. They'll have the 2B options, which means they get out of 40 out of 50. They'll also have 2C options, which means they get a 30 out of 50 and still with the rest of it do quite well. Oftentimes, a lot of the support that I'll offer students will go towards the B options, and the A options will involve a lot of reading, a lot of independence, oftentimes some research. So it's something to bear in mind. I have them paste here, and then they stick it in there, and then we use this rubric to grade the essay. So this tells you precisely what you need to do. Oftentimes these rubrics will look similar. Organization, the essay answers the prompt with a topic, sentence, context, quotation, explanations. We are given a fresh one of those every Thursday. I give them a model, oftentimes based on a short clip of a film. A failure to address the prompt will earn a 0. So if they just write about like some of the common mistakes that I've seen are just telling me what happened in the story, they will not get a prompt where people just ask them to tell them what happened. That's just not a thing. That doesn't happen. It doesn't showcase or evidence any real comprehension or understanding beyond simply restating the story. So these TDAs involve analysis. Analysis means like breaking down into different parts, right? Like a doctor might with an X-ray or something like that. So every Thursday, there'll be notes that I try to make responsive to the needs of all my classes as we go from TDA to TDA, and I can identify strengths and weaknesses. There'll be other videos that come along with that. So here you would choose A or B or C option, one of the two, and then go from there. So let's say we chose option B. That was the one that had the most security. Both writers give advice to their younger selves, and you're the electric boogaloo, and just be yourself. Identify the causes of both authors' insecurity. Which author uses connotative word choices more effectively to explore their insecurities? Use evidence from all texts. Notice that this particular prompt does two things, or asks two things of the writer. It gives a command, and it also asks a question. First, the student needs to identify the causes of both authors' insecurity. Oops. And then they need to answer this question: which author uses connotative word choices more effectively to explore their insecurities? Use evidence from all texts, right? So they need to start thinking, okay, what should my title be? Well, my title should derive from the prompt. So let's turn the page and see. Oh, I'm gonna put my name on this page by Mr. Surface. Let's see, let's look at the prompt again. Oh Okay. I see the word insecurity, plural and singular, so I'm going to make sure I have that. I see that it talks about connotative word choices, so I'm going to use two words and title my essay to help keep it focused. And I'm going to call it Insecure Connotations. Notice how this says, always include a title that uses words from your prompt. After that, it's usually wise to think about what it is you're specifically being asked to do and then provide a thesis statement. So here's where my thesis statement might go. If you're a more advanced writer, perhaps you'd like to provide an attention getter and some context. And then a thesis statement. A thesis statement will address the prompt directly. So the prompt is asking to identify the causes of both authors' insecurity. So something along the lines of the cause of, author's name here, insecurity in, let's say, the Electric Boogaloo. Is blank. The cause of the other author's name here the cause of author's name insecurity is blank. And then probably the third one would be taking care of the question. And the question is, which author uses connotative word choices more effectively? So you might say, the author of You Are the Electric Boogaloo uses connotative word choices more effectively. This is all my thesis. In other words, all of this is in response to this prompt here. So there's a direct relation between the prompt and the thesis, okay? You will skip a line, and then you need to choose which part of your thesis you're going to address first. All right, that'll be done with a topic sentence. Right, in this case it would probably be the cause of the author's insecurity in Electric Boogaloo is, whatever you give the cause, right? You would just relist this. It can be word for word from the thesis. Then context, which would be a little bit of background. Then evidence, which in this case would be a quotation from the essay that we're writing about, the Electric Boogaloo, not this essay we're writing. And then an explanation. And that will involve two different types of sentences. It'll involve a statement sentence, which is this, noun, verb. Noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. A verb is an action. Oftentimes it'll be like, this conversation emphasizes, right? If you're talking about a conversation in a story, but this noun depends on the quote that comes before it, okay? We would have a similar thing on this back side, right? We would skip a line, then we would have a topic sentence. About the other text, we would have context again. We would have a quotation again. Then we would have an explanation again. Then we would skip a line. And then we would have another topic sentence, this one addressing the question, right? Something along the lines of, the more effective piece is the electric boogaloo, period. And then you could go on to talk about the connotations. You'd give a little background. You'd probably have a central piece of evidence that you contextualize. You give a little background before giving it, and then you explain yourself. And then at the end, you would restate the thesis. I would write these items in the margin if you got a bad grade on this week's essay, and then use these different parts to help write it and to help get your points back, because I'm always welcoming students to address what's missing in their work, fill it in, give it back to me, get a full score. Right? Students will also need to pay attention to the rubric before they hand it in. So this rubric says that we need to have topic, sentence, context, quotations, and explanations. We do. Do we have the word connotative? Do we use the word connotation at least twice? Well, that would probably be used in the explanation, right? So this would be a chance for us to use connotation. And probably down here, right? The second type of sentence we'd use down here is if, comma, then, where you make a supposition that involves the evidence. So like if the author had used a word like, if the author hadn't used the word humiliation, then the depths of the embarrassment the speaker feels or the character in the essay feels would be less pronounced, right? So explanation, that's when we would include that discussion of connotation. That's where we basically take care of the prompt. That's where we connect prompt to evidence.